Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Museum Munchkins. I'm Mr. Nick, and today we are talking all about ladybugs. And we're going to start off today by singing a song about ladybugs. If you want to stand up on your feet. So during this song, we're going to talk all about how ladybugs love to buzz and fly around. So we're going to practice doing some ladybug buzzing and flying. So first things first, we're going to need to make some ladybug wings. So can we use our arms like this? And we can flap them up and down like our ladybug wings. Very good. So let's sing to this song first once really slowly so we can practice doing our dance along with the song while we're flying around with our ladybug wings. And then we'll speed it up a little bit so we can go a little bit faster. Are you ready? Great. So here we go. This song is called Ladybugs Fly. Let's sing it really slow to start. Are you ready? Let's get those wings buzzing. Fly, 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 ladybugs fly. So can we buzz around with our wings? Very good. Fly over here, fly over there. Very good. Can we fly from side to side? They fly high. Fly up really high on your tippy toes, and they fly low. Around and around and around they go. Very good. Can we fly in a circle? They fly fast. Can we stomp our feet really fast while we fly? And they fly slow. Slow it down. Oh, ladybugs fly. Very good. Let's try to do all those things together again, but a little bit faster. Are you ready? Fly, fly, fly. Get those ladybug wings flying. Ladybugs fly. Fly over here. Fly over there. They fly high and they fly low. Around and around and around they go. Very good. They fly fast and they fly slow. Oh, ladybugs fly. Very good. Let's do it one more time. Are you ready? Fly, fly, fly. Ladybugs fly. Fly over here and fly over there. They fly high and they fly low. Around and around and around they go. They fly fast and they fly slow. Oh, ladybugs fly. Very good flying around. I'm going to set my guitar down so we can talk all about ladybugs. All right, and I've got my little ladybug puppet here to help us talk about ladybugs today. Have you ever seen a ladybug before? So maybe you've been out in the garden or in your yard or at the park and you've seen a ladybug flying around. Ladybugs are insects and they're small, and most of them are kind of an orangish color or even a red color, and they have lots of little spots all over their bodies. So ladybugs are actually a pretty common insect that we find around here in the United States and over in Asia and in Europe and in Africa. We find them all over the place. Ladybugs are pretty common, and they're really important insects to find in our gardens. So here in the United States, we call them ladybugs. But in other parts of the world, like in England, they call them ladybirds, ladybird beetles, because ladybugs aren't actually bugs. Did you know that? So bugs are a very special group of insects, and ladybugs aren't a type of bug, but they are a type of insect. Have you ever heard that word before? Insect? Do you know what an insect is? So an insect is an animal that has a hard shell on the outside of their body called their exoskeleton. So their skeleton is on the outside of their body. Our skeleton, we can poke our bodies and feel our bones on the inside of our body. Our skeleton is on the inside of our body. But the hard parts of an insect are on the outside. They have an exoskeleton. And they have 6 legs. So on my little ladybug here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. They have 2 eyes, just like we have 2 eyes, and 2 antennae. That's these little things that stick off the front of their head that help them to feel around. And they have 4 wings. Insects have 4 wings on their bodies. But the wings of a ladybug, because ladybugs are beetles, that's a type of insect too. Since they're beetles, the first pair of their wings is actually really different than other insects. So beetles, the first set of their wings are really hard, like a hard shell, a hard shield covering the back of their body. And there's a special word for these special hard wings that help protect a beetle's body. And that word is, can you say it with me? It's elytra. Can you try saying that word with me? Elytra. Yeah, how about, can we say that word really quiet like we're a ladybug? Elytra. How about, can we say that word really loud? Elytra. Very good. So the elytra are the hard wings on the back of a beetle's body that help to protect it. And only beetles have those like that to help protect their bodies. And ladybugs are usually pretty easy to spot if you're out looking for them. Like we said, they have kind of a reddish or even an orange or yellow color to their body. And then most ladybugs have spots on their bodies. So how many spots does this ladybug have? Can you see? They've got, let's see if we can count them together. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 spots on this ladybug. So some ladybugs have no spots. Some ladybugs have 2 spots, or 7 spots, or 8 spots, or 22 spots. There are ladybugs that have lots of different numbers of spots. And the different number of spots is just because of what type of ladybug there are. There are lots and lots of different types of ladybugs. A really common one that we find around here in Wisconsin today is called the Asian harlequin ladybug. So we find those a lot around today. And ladybugs are pretty interesting insects because they look pretty small and cuddly and like they might just be these cute little bugs crawling around on their plants. But don't let that fool you. Ladybugs are actually vicious predators who hunt other insects and pests that we might find in our gardens or on other plants that like to chew up the plants while they're growing. So ladybugs really love to eat another type of insect called an aphid. Aphids are really, really, really small insects. If you can think of how small a ladybug is, and then how small an insect must be for a ladybug to be able to eat it, that has to be a pretty small insect. So they really love to eat aphids because the aphids chew up on the plants, or they drink a lot of the sap and they get kind of a sweet sugary taste to them, and the ladybugs really love that. When they can't find those aphids, ladybugs will eat some sap or pollen or nectar from flowers. They'll eat those things too, but their favorite food is aphids and other small insects that they can find and that they can catch and chomp up. So they're pretty interesting little animals. But you know what? I brought a story today about a ladybug who's a little bit grouchy. In fact, my story today is called The Grouchy Ladybug. So we're going to read this story together. Have you ever read this story before? I really like this story. The Grouchy Ladybug by Eric Carle. It was night, and some fireflies danced around the moon. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun came up. A friendly ladybug flew in from the left. It saw a leaf with many aphids on it and decided to have them for breakfast. There's that ladybug eating those aphids. But just then, a grouchy ladybug flew in from the right. It too saw the aphids and wanted them for breakfast. "Good morning," said the friendly ladybug. "Go away," shouted the grouchy ladybug. "I want those aphids." "We can share them," suggested the friendly ladybug. "No, they're all mine," screamed the grouchy ladybug. "Or do you want to fight me for them?" "If you insist," answered the friendly ladybug sweetly. It looked the other bug straight in the eye. The grouchy ladybug stepped back. It looked less sure of itself. You're not big enough for me to fight," it said. "Then why don't you go pick on somebody bigger?" "I'll do that," screeched the grouchy ladybug. "I'll show you." It puffed itself up and flew off. Oh, that grouchy ladybug seems pretty grouchy. At 6 o'clock in the morning, it met a yellow jacket. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "You want to fight?" "If you insist," said the yellow jacket, showing its stinger. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 7 o'clock, it met a stag beetle. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "You want to fight?" "If you insist," said the stag beetle, opening its jaws. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 8 o'clock, it came across a praying mantis. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the praying mantis, reaching out with its long front legs. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. It's a pretty grouchy ladybug trying to fight with everybody. At 9 o'clock, it almost flew into a sparrow. "Hey, you, want to fight?" "If you insist," said the sparrow, opening its sharp beak. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 10 o'clock, it saw a lobster. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the lobster, stretching its claws. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 11 o'clock, it bumped into a skunk. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the skunk, starting to lift its tail. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 12 noon, it spotted a boa constrictor. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the snake, "right after lunch." You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and flew off. At 1 o'clock, it happened on a hyena. "Hey, you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the hyena, laughing eerily and showing its teeth. You're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 2 o'clock, it met a gorilla. "Hey you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the gorilla, beating its chest. "Oh, you're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug and flew off. At 3 o'clock, it ran into a rhinoceros. "Hey you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the rhinoceros, lowering its horn. "Ah, you're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug and flew off. Oh, goodness, I don't know what he's going to find that's bigger than a rhinoceros. Oh, at 4 o'clock, it encountered an elephant. "Hey you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Want to fight?" "If you insist," said the elephant, raising its trunk and showing its big tusks. "Ah, you're not big enough," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 5 o'clock, it met a whale. "Hey you," said the grouchy ladybug. "Wanna fight?" But the whale did not answer at all. "You're not big enough anyway," said the grouchy ladybug, and it flew off. At 5:15, the grouchy ladybug said to one of the whale's flippers, "Hey you, wanna fight?" But it got no answer, so it flew on. It's a big whale. At 5:30, the grouchy ladybug said to the whale's fin, "Hey you, wanna fight?" But it got no answer, so it flew on. At 5:45, the grouchy ladybug said to the whale's tail, "Hey, you want to fight?" And the whale's tail gave the grouchy ladybug such a slap, whoosh, that it flew all across the sea and across the land. At 6 o'clock, the grouchy ladybug arrived right back where it had started from. "Ah, here you are again," said the friendly ladybug. "You must be hungry. There are still some aphids left. You can have them for dinner." "Oh, thank you," said the wet, tired, and hungry ladybug. Soon all the aphids were gone. "Thank you," said the leaf. "You are welcome," answered both ladybugs, and they went to sleep. The fireflies, who had been sleeping all day, came out to dance around the moon. That was a pretty grouchy ladybug in that story, wasn't it? He was trying to start a fight with everybody, and then that whale's tail gave him quite a slap at the end. All right, so now you've been sending in questions all this whole time while we were talking about ladybugs and while we were reading our story, and now we're going to answer some of your questions while we do today's craft. This is going to be a pretty fun one, I think. So since ladybugs love to spend time in the garden eating aphids off leaves, I thought it would be really fun to decorate some garden rocks like ladybugs, and then you can put them in your garden or in your yard or around a garden in your community or your neighborhood to help maybe attract some other ladybugs, or maybe it help keep aphids away if they see a big giant ladybug like this. So we're going to paint these rocks together. So today, for today's craft, you're just going to need a couple things. We're going to need, I'll just clean up my area a little bit. We're going to need some rocks, first of all. And we're going to need, so a rock you can paint on, like this one. And we're going to need a paintbrush and some white paint, some black paint, and some red paint. All right, so we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my rock like this, and I'm going to paint one side of my rock with my white paint. Just shake a little bit of it out. All right, so I'm going to use my paintbrush, and I'm going to paint one side of my rock with a big white circle on it. All right, and while we do that, Joanna wants to know, what do ladybugs eat? Oh, so like we read in our story, and like we talked about before our story, ladybugs love to eat aphids. That's their favorite food, is aphids. And they also will eat other small insects too that they can catch. Things called scale insects. They really like eating those. So that's why it's a good reason to have ladybugs in your garden, so that they can help protect all the plants and things that you're growing in there from pests who want to eat all their leaves, like aphids. Okay, so I've got one side of my rock painted white like this. Okay, and then, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a big red spot on one side, on the side of my rock where I just painted white. So I'm going to take my rock and I'm going to paint a big red circle on it. So I'm going to need some red paint for that. All right, and while we do that, Noelle would like to know if there are any pink ladybugs. Oh, and do ladybugs make any sounds? That is a very good question, Noelle. So, ladybugs, as far as I know, we don't find any pink ladybugs. That would be pretty fun, though. We find pink is a kind of a hard color to find in nature sometimes, and ladybugs, we find them in reds and yellows and oranges and lots of colors in between, but we don't really find pink ones. And ladybugs, they're really small and they don't really make a noise. If they did make a noise, they would make a noise a little bit like how lots of other insects make noise, kind of a hissing noise, which is just them squeezing air out of their body. But there's no ladybugs that I know of that make a noise that we can hear. So they don't make any noise, and there's no pink ones, unfortunately. All right, so I've got my red spot now on my rock, and now that's going to be my ladybug body. And now I need to give my ladybug a head. And ladybugs, their head is kind of a blackish color, so I'm going to use my black paint for that. All right. And now I'm going to paint a little, just the top of my red spot with this black paint. All right. There we go. See, so now there's the white background and the red body and the black head part. Perfect. All right, so now I need to give it some spots. Lots of ladybugs have some white spots on their head and a couple little tiny white spots on their back. So I'm going to add those, and while we add those, let's answer another question. So Ollie would like to know if they have tails. Very good question, Ollie. So ladybugs don't have a tail, but they have the back of their body kind of just like we see in other insects like grasshoppers or bumblebees or ants or butterflies. The long skinny part at the back of their body is called their abdomen, and they do have one of those, but it's very small and it's underneath those big hardened wings like a shell. They're elytra. So we find their little short abdomen underneath there. All right, so now you can see I've added 2 little tiny white spots on its shell and 2 little white spots on the black part for its eyes. Well, they're kind of like spots that go around their eyes. They're not actually their eyes, but they're spots to help us see where their eyes are. And now the next thing I'm going to do is this ladybug needs some spots. So we're going to draw some black spots on my ladybug, and I'm also going to draw a little line right down the middle so that we can see where the 2 different wings are on both sides of its body. And ladybugs have the same number of spots on both sides of their body, so they don't have 4 spots on one side and only 1 spot on the other. If they have 4 spots on one side, then they have 4 spots on the other. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add, I think, 3 spots to both sides. Okay? So I need some black paint for that. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 on one side. And 1, 2, 3 spots on the other side. And then I'm going to draw a line down the middle. And Allie wants to know if ladybugs make friends. That's a very good question. Well, kind of like we saw in our book, that friendly ladybug really wanted to be friends with the grouchy ladybug, didn't it? That one ladybug was pretty grouchy, so he didn't really want to be friends. But we do see ladybugs hanging out in groups in nature. So especially in the wintertime, when it gets really cold outside, ladybugs will all form a big giant group in a log or in a tree to help them protect themselves and stay warm during the winter. All right, I've got my 6 spots, 3 on both sides, just like that. And now the only thing that's left to do is for me to add some antennae and some legs. So I'm going to need some black paint to do that, and then we'll be all finished with our ladybug rock. And Joanna wants to know, what are ladybugs' predators? Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's true, since even though ladybugs are predators themselves, and they eat other insects, ladybugs actually have lots of other predators themselves too. So ladybugs get eaten by birds and frogs and snakes and other insects, other bigger insects that can catch them, like that praying mantis we saw in our story today. So basically anything that's bigger than a ladybug that eats insects, if they can catch a ladybug, they'll eat it. Monkeys will eat them sometimes. Lots of different animals, anything that can catch them basically will eat a ladybug, are predators to ladybugs. Because just because an animal is a predator, an animal that eats other animals, doesn't mean that it doesn't have any predators of its own. And that's what we call a food web, how all the different animals in our environment are connected to each other. So predators eating other animals and then getting eaten by other animals, and then those animals get eaten by other animals, and some animals just eat plants, right? So, but all those things that live in an environment are all connected in a food web. That's a very good question. All right, so I've added some teeny tiny little antennas, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little legs to my ladybug. Very good. So now my ladybug is all ready. Once it dries, I can put it out in my garden, and then maybe friends who come over to my house can look for the ladybug rocks in my garden, or I could even hide it around town and maybe make someone's day when they found a cute little ladybug rock hidden somewhere around town. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for Museum Munchkins, and I hope we see you next week when we learn all about coyotes. Until then, take care.